let's dig into Florida for a moment here. It is a state where elections have been incredibly close in the last decade. In fact, 7 statewide elections, including races for president, governor, and the Senate, have been decided by a margin of 1.2 percentage points or less since 2010, a significant number there. Joining me now is MSNBC national political correspondent Steve Kornacki, as well as president and CEO of Voto Latino, Maria Teresa Kumar. She is also an MSNBC contributor. Steve, take us through the new polling. What does the polling show us?
Yeah, let's take a look here. Brand new NBC News Marist poll of the state of Florida. Check it out. Likely voters, this is what we find. Donald Trump, 48%. Joe Biden, 48%. A dead heat right now. These two candidates tied in the poll. And as you mentioned, look, close elections in Florida, they have certainly been the norm really over the last 2 decades at the presidential level in Florida. But don't look at this and say, well, that just means everybody is kind of dug in from where they were in 2016, because inside these numbers for both Trump and for Biden, some significant changes from 2016. Let me show you what I mean. First of all, senior citizens. Florida, chock full of senior citizens, voters 65 and older. In 2016, they were a vital ingredient to Donald Trump's ability to carry Florida by 1.5 points. He won senior citizens in Florida by 17 points in 2016. Now, our brand new poll, what do we find? A very different result. There's Joe Biden leading among seniors by 1 point. That's an 18-point swing. No Democrat in 20 years at the presidential level has carried the senior vote in Florida. There's Biden leading by 1. That, for Democrats, is the big change in their direction, but it is matched by a change in the Republicans' direction. And let me show you that. This is 2016. White voters, black voters, Latino voters. This is how they went on Election Day. You can probably see it when I show you. Here's the big change from blue to red. Latino voters, look at that. Hillary Clinton won them by 27 in Florida. Donald Trump, in our new poll, leads in Florida among Latino voters by 4 points. And what's driving that appears to be strength for Trump, new strength for Trump, specifically among Cuban-American voters. You're talking there geographically in Florida. Think of Miami-Dade, population-dense South Florida. That seems to be a new source of strength for him. So each party right now with a new strength in Florida and maybe a new weakness.
All right. And to that point, we have the perfect guest to break that down for us. Maria, explain that to us a little bit. Politico is reporting that a Democratic firm recently polled Florida and found that Biden leads Trump among Florida Hispanics by 53 to 37%. And while his advantage does seem large, Biden's 16 percentage point margin is 11 points lower than what Hillary Clinton received in 2016 exit polling, as Steve was just explaining there to us. Explain that shift from 2016 to 2020 for Trump among largely Cuban Americans, as Steve mentioned.
Sure. I mean, first of all, it's great to see you at the 3 p.m. slot. So congratulations.
Thank you.
We need to see more of you. So really, this is step back in time and recall that in 2016, Trump has not stopped campaigning. He never stopped campaigning in Florida. He never stopped campaigning in the Latino community, in the African-American community. Even seeing the shifts among how many African-Americans were siphoned off from Hillary to Trump is significant. If you're to ask me what is happening in Florida, is that Donald Trump, Karl Rove has the Trump of the Trump organization and the Trump campaign, and they are deploying the Karl Rove strategy that got George Bush into the White House, meaning he recognizes that he doesn't need to register. He doesn't need to convince all African-American voters. He doesn't need to convince all Latino voters. He just needs to go off from the top. So you have a perfect storm where Trump has not stopped talking to the Latinos in Florida, specifically around socialist messages. And there has been a vacuum on the Democratic side, and they're finally starting to have these conversations and engagement. What I encourage the Biden campaign to do is to have conversations around this idea of corruption, around the fact that the payroll tax, if it becomes permanent, will hurt Social Security and Medicare, and then remind folks in Florida that Trump has created a denaturalization task force inside of the Department of Justice. The reason I stress that is that 1 out of 10 voters are naturalized citizens come this election. We have never seen that type of participation before by naturalized citizens. And Florida becomes the perfect storm for many things that, unfortunately, what people fled. If you see the ads that Trump has been talking about specifically to the Cuban community, is a reminder that you left Cuba because it was a socialist country, a communist country, when in fact, if we were to take a step back, the majority of immigrants that left their country left regardless of the guise of whether it was a democratic government or socialist or communist government. Many of our families left because of corruption.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.